2, 3, 4. In this podcast, you will hear Knights of Vader. Knights of Vader includes, but is not limited to, talk of Star Wars, not ray guns. We can't truly prepare for the joke that follows this song, but hey, we gave it a try. So here's the Knights of Vader. Crystal Fox reports they are divided. Prequel, sequel, canon, love they fighted. I know that we are just musicians tired, and their time is up. So here's the Knights of Vader.
Impressive. Most impressive.
A big thank you to An Insperiority Complex for providing our theme song. It is April 1st, 2021. My name is Zach Weber, and joining me today is my Cinemoddities co-host, Rob.
I'm back, and you're welcome for the theme song.
And the premier third or fourth best Canadian Star Wars vintage collector in all of Canada, Chris Porteous.
Glad to be here to discuss what is by far the most underrated chapter of the Alien franchise.
And joining his first inaugural appearance, not just on Knights of Vader, but on any podcast, is Mr. Joe Yazzo.
Hey, nice to be here. Thanks for the invite.
And last but not least, the only reason why anybody tunes into this podcast, Zenger.
I prefer to be called Grand Admiral Zenger from here on out.
Another Zenger persona. Do you have a
I
lizard drink
also
on your
got
neck?
this today too. I got this, so it's on.
He has Stormbreaker. He bought the $200 Stormbreaker prop.
No, it's just a regular Mjolnir. But Judge Zenger could come out because I want to pass judgment on this freaking thing I was forced to watch instead of, I don't know, watching paint dry, watching the Zack Snyder cut.
Again.
Watching the original Justice League movie and crying at the fact that it could have been so much better. Good, I wanted that silence after that.
Oh, man. All right, going around
No,
the room.
I had to watch the third best Alien movie.
Right, even
There
I
we go.
don't
Now we're
disagree with
talking.
that.
This is going to be fascinating.
What
All
am I
right.
including in that?
I am intrigued by that. All right, going around the room. Most important question. Who here has watched Zack Snyder's Justice League yet?
I got those first 15 minutes and the epilogue.
All right, all kidding aside, we are, as we all know, we do these wonky April 1st episodes. We didn't do one last year because Zach was going through an emotional rut. And little did Zach know at the time of April Fool's Day last year that a doom was not just on the horizon for him, but for all of mankind. But we are back. We are back in the saddle, baby. So we were talking about Alien to the Third Power. This is a Chris Porteous.
Thank you so much for making that joke. I was hoping I wouldn't have to.
Yes, it's Alien to the Third Power. I will let Rob tell the other joke that he'll definitely get to when it comes to this title. This is a Chris Porteous idea, as we've known now on Knights of Vader for how many episodes. Chris is like maybe, I don't think he's the only person carrying a torch for this film, because I know there's a lot of misguided people on the interwebs that like somehow proclaim this as like a hidden masterpiece.
My Rob is, I believe, one of those people championing this.
Oh,
thing.
God. Oh, God. It's spreading, Rob. It's spreading. We have to like stomp out this infection. Because I think we all know Rob will. Okay, we'll let Rob tell his opinions. But yes, we are doing Alien 3 because of Chris. Chris, do you want to explain to the audience at home why we are doing this?
You know, it's been so long. I don't know if any of us remember why we're still doing this. But the key here to really appreciate is that there's a lot of I think people it's like the red letter media reviews of the prequels. There's people who've heard about the behind the scenes details of the production of Alien 3, and they think surely with stories like that out there and this pervasive internet narrative about why it's so terrible, it can't possibly be a good film. And I think those people let that color their viewing experience far too heavily. You know too much about the production, Zach, and it's inflicting your perspective. That's my take.
I knew that was a shot at me, by the way, folks. I was hoping he would sit there and make it even more pointed by calling me out, and he did not disappoint.
Well, I did. I just did, and I get that sense already, and I think that I mean, it has you have to be a fan of this series to like you have to open up to it a little bit. But I think we'll have an interesting discussion today, and I'm very excited that most of you sound like you've watched it recently, and most of you have watched the far superior theatrical cut.
Fun fact, folks, there is no superior cut to this film because it's not a movie.
Oh
my counterpoint to all those people you mentioned, Chris, about hearing the behind the scenes problems that this movie had, and they think they don't want to watch it, or they think they know what it's going to be like even if they don't watch it. My counterpoint is Wooden Planet. How do you hear Wooden Planet in the development of this movie and then don't go like, okay, I want to check this out?
I have no clue what this is even referencing.
Okay, Zenger, though, think about this. Wooden planet. Hold on. I'll rephrase. What if there was a planet made out of wood?
Okay, is it a super weapon for the Empire?
It's a prison.
It wasn't
the Empire.
It wasn't a prison. It was
a church. That's right.
Yeah.
Monastery.
For
folks,
the Empire.
Monastery.
For the Empire. As long as it's always for the Empire.
Oh, my God. All right. I think, okay.
Well, I think we should go around the room just like you did at the start, Zach, with a more serious question. Wooden planet. Thoughts?
Okay, before we get to that, okay, you ready? Okay, Rob. Chris and I have clearly kind of drawn sides on this, whether like the far ends of the spectrum. What is your opinion on this film? Use 3 sentences, 4 if you have to.
I'm gonna use a lot more. I'm gonna go over my quota for sentences very early on in this episode. My first question is. Another shout out to Cinemoddities. Chris, have you heard the little bonus episode where I talk about my David Fincher film rankings on Cinemoddities?
I have.
Okay. So then Chris has some knowledge of where I ended up putting Alien times Alien times Alien in my rankings of the movies. I put it at number 8 out of 11.
Okay, hold on, everybody. This is 8 out of 11 of like an extremely notable American film director. Like this is no regular 11 films here. This is
yes. I mean, so I guess I will say I do have some hot Fincher takes that everybody can hear, but this movie is 2 spots above 7 because I think 7 is a terrible movie. We could probably do a whole nother episode on that. But I'm kind of in the middle on Alien times Alien times Alien. Oh my God. Okay. The eye line is wrong in 7, Zenger. It's a fundamentally badly composed movie. For most of the times Morgan Freeman is talking to Gwyneth Paltrow, he's looking above her, and it makes no sense.
But God, he can do what he wants.
I'm pretty neutral on Alien times Alien times Alien. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I only had seen it the once ever when I watched it for my Fincher rankings, and I watched it again for the in preparation for this recording, and I did a bunch of the research. And then Zach's even sent me a video that I had not found in my research that I have to say was made by a complete loser, I would say. That was a terrible video you sent me, Zach. We could talk about that more if we want to. But I think I liked Alien Cubed a little bit better this time around. I kind of appreciate it a little bit more for how depressing it is. But I would say I'm kind of neutral, leaning towards it's not bad type of thing.
Wait. Do I get the 3 sentences now?
Sure, Singer.
Okay.
You get 5 sentences.
Sweet. All right. Aliens is a great movie. Aliens is
Where's
a better
my gavel?
is a better action movie, and I think the premise works better as an action movie with a ton of aliens running around instead of one alien. Also, Aliens is directed by James Cameron, who went on to do other stuff with Sigourney Weaver that exist. That's my 3 sentences about Alien 3.
Fair. All right, Mr. Yazo, what is your thoughts on this film and the franchise as a whole?
The franchise as a whole was absolutely amazing, the first Alien movie. And we were talking about this before, where it was the first one was done as more of a horror movie. The other one was done as an action movie.
It works perfectly.
And it works perfectly. But this one here was just lost in the menagerie because you sit there and you look at it, it's 3 times the aliens and, 3 times the suspense, 3 times the horror. no three aliens in it. There was just one, and the queen. And I saw the one that came out of the ox, by the way, the other day.
Confused. I'm so confused.
The ox.
Zenger, there's more than one version of this movie. What are you confused about?
I'm confused
I have
like,
one question. What shape was the planet if it was made out of wood? That's what I want to. That's what I would like to know. That's the one question I would have.
Well, it's fun that you've asked that question, because the producers were also having trouble with that question. There was literally part of the reason why you don't have a wooden planet in this film is because the producers, one of the producers could not understand how that could be physically possible. Because like, where do you get the wood from? How did they import it from another planet? If they're growing it on this planet, how come they? Where's the space for the trees?
That should be.
Okay, hold on a second. I need to clarify something. So, is it the forest moon of Endor?
They would have had to harvest the entire forest moon of Endor to build something roughly the size of the second Death Star made out of entirely wood.
So
Zenger, you ever
wait,
been
the
on like
entire
a deck?
planet
You ever
is
been
made
in like
of
a
wood.
tree
It's
house?
not just a ton of trees everywhere. So
No,
we're
that-
not basing this on Kashyyyk.
Okay, it's entirely made out of wood, but
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, they didn't do it. But other than that, that version of the story is remarkably unchanged. Even though people like to talk about how wonderful it would have been had we got the monks and the wooden planet, and they don't realize that is the movie they got almost exactly.
But with the metal and the architecture and the like terrible, like, I want to say Art Deco, but I know it's not what it is. The like faux factory deco design is like something that's actually vaguely iconic to the Alien franchise, even though it kind of got introduced in the third movie. There, I said something vaguely positive.
Yeah, but what if that was wood, Zenger? That's what we're saying.
It'd be dumb. It'd be on fire. You could not light a match on that goddamn thing.
Exactly.
And
There's this whole subset of fans who think that this movie, like literally that script everyone's talking about, with that, it had already gone through so much trouble at that point. And this script, he's like, wow, it's exactly the movie we got, but instead of prisoners, it's monks who are equally terrified of women. And there's also no guns, but it's a planet made out of wood, and they're monks instead of prisoners. And suddenly the movie is saved. Give me a break. Like, these people they don't know what they're talking about. That's the movie they already have.
Well, that's the pitch. I'm glad you mentioned termite, Zenger. The pitch should have been that we show up on this wooden planet. I'm halfway sold. But then the other turn of the story is that it's revealed that not a dog, not an ox, the alien pops out of a termite in the third movie and is wreaking havoc on the wooden planet. That would have been golden. This would have been like my number 3 Fincher movie if that was the case, I think.
Wait, okay, where does Fight Club rank on this? Because I need to ask now so I can know how to handle the rest of this.
Someone's not a listener to Cinemoddities.
Yeah, Zenger, Fight Club is my number 5. And I take the stance that I do not enjoy that movie, but I love that it is such a wonderfully composed satire.
Okay, what's number 1 then?
Zodiac. Hardcore Zodiac. That movie is phenomenal.
Objection!
That movie is so good, it hurts me.
Does it solve it? Does it solve the crime?
No, but that's the point.
Objection.
It's an allegory for coming into the information age, put in the backdrop of an unsolved crime. It is a wonderful movie, and everybody should check it out.
His only way to do that was to reverse somebody's age and then redo it, the Zodiac thing, with The Social Network. Okay, I got it. I understand the filmography of David Fincher now.
All right. So I think I'm starting to get a picture on why you guys are so misguided about this movie. So like
we talk about a wooden planet one more time.
No.
Okay, real quick, the wooden planet.
The wooden planet's the dumbest thing that these people want to keep talking about. It's like, get over it. The sets are amazing in this movie. It doesn't matter that it used to be a wooden planet in one version of the script. What makes this movie so compelling to me is looking at it in the context of a trilogy. That's part of it. And I don't know how many of you are doing that. I know. There's some mixed opinions on Aliens in this group, which is very unique. I'm glad that somebody here also thinks Aliens is like slightly overrated.
What?
To understate it.
Who? Show them to me.
Yeah, Zenger, you just might want to tape your gavel to your hand. My take on Aliens is that James Cameron sat down and said, "How do I make the stupidest movie in the world?"
Okay.
But then
oh my God.
have a shaman convince everybody that it's entertaining.
We can't fight about aliens. Like it's a religious issue. No one's gonna concede one way or another. But I'm contending that if you do, now you have to put yourself back 30 years into the mindset of a culture that actually considered sequels with there was some importance to a movie being a sequel. It wasn't start over and give it the same title as the previous one just had. Like there was never a consideration of this isn't a story continuation of Aliens. And I know there wasn't a grand design for these three movies as a trilogy. Of course there wasn't. They took it one at a time. They all have different directors. But if you I know
sequel series.
I know, but sometimes when you roll the dice, you like it works out for you, and sometimes it doesn't. And just because a dice was cast, I don't think necessarily makes it a disaster. It's just the results that you get. And if you look at them as a continuous story, and I'm just talking about the first three, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. And you like it sort of expands and contracts, and it ends up dealing with a character that has really lost everything. And I don't think the first movie or the second movie really deals with concepts like confronting one's own mortality quite in the way that Alien 3 does. There's a lot going on here that I really don't think it gets credit for. You have Ripley at times she tries to commit suicide, she can't do it. She loses these people she fought so hard to protect, and if you do or don't like Aliens, there's a great piece in there, especially with an extended edition that's actually worth watching, where you find out she lost her kid because she was stuck in cryosleep so long her kid actually died of old age. And then she meets this new little kid, they sort of connect. There's all this work to save that kid's life. And then at the start of Alien 3, she's a casualty of a electrical fire.
No, she drowned in the cryotube.
Semantics.
She got crushed by the
okay, but she died the most peaceful death anyone in this movie died from.
Right, and there in her funeral and Hicks's funeral, all of the weight. First of all, that is in my opinion, the funeral for Hicks and Newt is the best scene in the entire series.
Wait, because of the fact that it's the funeral, or because it's being shown with life cometh and life taketh away?
Well, this is where you get into a big problem with the two versions of the movie. The extended line cut, whatever you want to call it, nonsense that they threw together so they could sell more DVDs. It really kills that scene of the alien coming out. The way it's cut in the theatrical version, where it's ripping out of this dog as the two bodies are getting cast into the furnace, and Charles Dutton's delivering this super powerful eulogy about like why did the innocent die, and this dog's just getting ripped apart, and the music's so atmospheric and amazing, and these characters, and when you view it in the context of a trilogy, and these characters that you kind of cared about just got ripped away from you, and you really embody where Ripley's character is supposed to be at this point in time, if you're looking at it as three movies, it's crazy. Like it's powerful, and like you don't get that if you view it as a movie, like in and of itself. These are just characters you never knew anyways, and it loses a lot of its weight. I totally get that, but I think the way that scene is cut with the music, and the way the dog just getting ripped apart, and then you see this ridiculous like crinkly alien they refer to as the Bambi burster in the community. It's just like that, combined with Charles Dutton's performance, I think that's just some of the best stuff in this whole series by far. And I think maybe you guys are on the same page with me that the Alien series probably never got better than whatever you think about Alien 3, I kind of feel like as much as I enjoy parts of it, it was all downhill from there.
I will say
with Resurrection?
With everything after this.
I will say that I definitely, like I mentioned in my little synopsis of what I thought. I picked up a lot more on watching this for the second time about like how just the whole movie of Alien Cubed is just depressing. Like the tone is just, everything is very depressing and all this sadness. And I definitely appreciate that, because the first one, a movie that I absolutely love, the original Alien, is just straight up, survival horror basically. And I thoroughly enjoy that movie for a whole slew of reasons. The third one, definitely, I like the idea of, things have been lost. We're in this very, very strange place. The mood is just constant, just barreling down depression on all of these characters and what they have to deal with. And I appreciate that. It has a lot of feeling to it. And I, based on my thoughts on Aliens, I do think that the masterstroke of this movie is not have a child actor in it. But regardless of that, the funeral scene, I do agree with you, is a wonderful scene. It is a little kind of, it maybe hits a little hard where it's like, oh, we have a funeral during this birthing scene, at the intercut with each other, but it works for what it's trying to go for. I mean, at least what I think it's trying to go for. I'm sure as we get more into the production and the background of this movie, that can be debated. But masterstroke of this movie, little girl from Aliens is just dead immediately. And I'm like, thank you. I'm like pumping my fists at the start of this movie.
And in no small part, that is probably because 6 years had passed since Aliens, and it's a production reality that you either recast or you do something like this. And this is what I'm saying when, a lot of the determining factors for the story here, maybe they're not well motivated, but I do enjoy the result in the context of the series.
The Ox Alien doesn't make any sense.
well,
because
no, but just for the reason that cut of the movie kills that funeral scene for me. Just the way they cut it, it's just all of the energy is gone. I don't care what any of the other changes are; they're not significant enough to compensate for like that loss. So watch the theatrical cut.
But the aliens are known to take on attributes of the host. So why later in the movie, when this thing's more grown up, it's four-legged and looks more like a dog? Why the crap would it be an ox?
Zanger, clearly one of the genius producers who took control away from Fincher.
I think you're using the word producer very loosely.
Yeah. Well, they at least it is a dog at the end of the day.
Well, it made more sense when it was an ox.
How?
Because that's what they used to pull the escape pod out of the water.
They put an ox in there?
No, they used oxes to move it onto the beach.
Oh, okay.
That's why I thought watching it, I was like, okay, I could totally see it. When you're saying a dog, I'm like, I'm watching this cut. I haven't seen the movie, and I'm going to be very honest with you. I probably haven't seen the movie before yesterday for at least maybe 10 years.
That's not long enough.
So I watched this one and it had an ox, and I was like, okay, I could totally see where the facehugger went on to an ox.
Well, it's going to be too much for most of you to do. But if you compare the funeral scene and the two cuts, it's like, how did they mess that up? But I mean, they didn't care because they were doing this for a DVD reissue. But like, it's just destroyed. Like the best scene in the movie is just hacked up to nonsense. So that's my biggest problem with this so-called what is the name they give it? Extended cut or line cut or something?
Assembly cut.
Assembly cut.
Whatever.
Also,
yeah.
The novelized version has an ox.
And it makes more sense.
That's it. We have the final word.
Listen,
wrong, Chris. All right, Chris, you're wrong. All right, that concludes the April 1st, 2021 episode.
I have rolling. Alan Dean Foster, who did that novelization, also had a horrible experience on dealing with Fox writing that novelization, and I guarantee you that he had no choice whether it was
attacked by executives.
Oh yeah, it was virtually identical. Like he hated the experience as much as Fincher. He talks about it with horror to this day.
Okay. So we have Zenger. Okay, Zenger's favorite movie is obviously Aliens. Rob's favorite movie is what? Alien?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Joe, what's your favorite Alien movie of the series?
I'd have to say it was Alien.
The first one, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sad that everyone has to be wrong on here.
And Chris, you're
Zenger,
going with,
it's okay. You've been put under the spell by James Cameron's Shaman. I bet you like Terminator 2 as well.
I do.
Yep. Zenger's drinking the Shaman's drink just right out of James Cameron's hands.
it's funny you say that, Rob, because on the Avatar ride there is like a Na'vi shaman. So I like to imagine Zenger's just drinking the water at the Disney ride. He's just sitting, has his head in it, and just being like every time he dunks his head in, like Terminator 2 is the best series. Duncan. Edward Furlong is incredible. Duncan. Oh god. And Chris, you're saying Alien Cubed is the best of the franchise, right? Or are you saying it's underrated?
I'm saying like when we're saying best of the franchise, like I'm talking just the first three. If I'm ranking just the first three, it's Alien.
Wait,
Alien.
no.
3,
There's
Aliens.
a fourth movie you gotta accept in there.
The great thing about Alien Resurrection is that from a story standpoint, you can totally just take or leave it, and like I leave it.
What Chris is trying to say is that Alien Covenant is the best of the series.
Yeah, I mean,
haven't seen it.
there's what, 6? Are we counting Alien versus Predator to make it 7?
Eight films.
We can all
Yeah,
get behind the
films.
fact that Alien Covenant is clearly the worst Alien movie by far.
I
Still haven't seen
vehemently
it.
disagree. As Rob and I discussed, as been discussed on this podcast with Force Ghost Jim and I back in like 2017, I consider that probably, subjectively speaking, my favorite film of the series. I love me some Michael Fassbender.
My God.
I'll
All
do
right.
the fingering. I'll do the fingering.
And I guess it should be said, I am a stand for Prometheus. I do like that movie.
Yeah, the same.
Interesting.
I think that has more going for it than Covenant, that's for sure. But
does Covenant involve Michael Fassbender talking to himself for 20 minutes?
we do
Prometheus
that?
has a good amount of Fassbender. And it has some of the best. Like Fassbender has just a severed head. Like who doesn't like that?
Fair.
But,
I will allow that.
Yeah, but you know, if I'm ranking the first three, it's Alien 3 and Aliens. But but don't get angry, Zinger, because I just love all three of them as one piece so much. And what I like about Aliens is more the design consequences. Like that movie just flavored like a generation of science fiction design, and I like you guys, I'm sort of critical of some of the stuff done story wise. Like it's a little bit cheap, putting the kid in danger all the time. Like I kind of get that, but I think it works as a trilogy really well, because if you structure it, if you look at it through that lens, it's appropriate where it's placed in the three.
Okay, this is my thing. Like, my philosophy is it's not fair to judge Alien versus Aliens because they're two very different genres. Alien is a horror film. It's a haunted house film in space. That is what it is. What?
I said boo.
What? That's not. It wasn't a knock. It's an observation.
No, I meant boo as in like haunted house.
Oh,
Boo.
I thought you were saying Boo Earns.
Oh no.
I thought you were
was
saying
saying
Boo
Boo
Earns.
I was saying Boo Earns.
Aliens is an action film, plain and simple, with some like horror undertones. It's like, like I said, I think it's a little too long. I know there's an extended cut of that where like Chris referenced. Yes, and I'm just like, oh God, make it end. Make it end.
Hey, you know, I would most of the time agree with you, but you get a little more derelict ship, which is the whole, like just the derelict ship in general is a big part of why I would put the first film as number one, because it's just like, when has anything like that ever been done on such a scale? I mean, obviously Ridley Scott like kind of messed it up or a little made it weird or like explained too much perhaps down the line, but like for a long time, like that was just some of the coolest stuff ever.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Alien Cubed is not a movie. It should not be judged as such. Alien Resurrection is like odd and weird and just insane. It's not, again, it's a movie, but it's I don't even know how to sit there and comprehend that movie half the time. Prometheus is goofy as hell, but it has the best scene in the movie is what's her name? Oh God, what's her name? Not Sigourney Weaver. That's what happened with this series too. We started devolving into just not Sigourney Weavers. Not Sigourney Weaver Prometheus edition, getting the thing like removed from her stomach, and then like it explodes over her like open wound. That is fantastic. That is great cinema. And then we have Alien Covenant, where basically it's like a Friday the 13th movie, but starring Michael Fassbender as Jason. And I like that. Like that is just it's Ridley Scott being insane. Like the joke is that like people bring up all this stuff about like Alien Covenant in like regards to like the Alien series. It's like, well, like if you remember the space jockey from Aliens, like a fossilized like thing from like thousands of years ago. It can't take place like Alien Covenant basically says like, oh, this all happened like 50 years before the events of Alien. And really Scott's just like, what the hell are you talking about? Because he doesn't understand. Really Scott is too consumed with explaining that Deckard is a replicant.
Sir, and well, I mean, this is like so offside, but like obviously Prometheus was meant to be a direct prequel to Alien, and the ship shown in Prometheus was meant to be the ship from Alien. And it kind of works better, and it kind of still works that way. Like, but then you have this whole Jesus factor that Prometheus tries to put in there, where like Jesus was an engineer, and like the reason they were going to bomb mankind was because we killed Jesus. And it's not subtle. Like I thought I might have felt like it was subtle at the time, but I watched it last year and I'm like, oh my God, Jesus was actually an engineer in this movie. It's really heavy-handed when you really think about it.
Well, that's okay. Once again, talking about letting like the pop culture zeitgeist around these films like bleed into like the viewing experience. Like you watch Prometheus, like I remember the marketing for that film, like even before like they started filming, because everyone's like, oh man, like Ridley Scott's doing a science fiction film, like is it gonna be like related to Alien? And he was like on the record saying like, oh, it'll have strains of alien DNA. And everyone's just like, what? And then he's like, I remember him being like interviewed at Comic-Con. He's like, well, it's kind of connected to Alien. And then like even in the trailers, like I remember seeing that trailer. That was one of the very few times like in recent memory, the trailer debuted in theaters before online. I remember sitting in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, weird connection to all this, and seeing that trailer because it had been released online. And it's like, it's playing like the horn sound, woo, like that wooing like horn sound. And then like, it's like, oh, like it's definitely, yeah. And it's like, it's definitely Alien. Thank you, Zenger.
Let's all do it. Come on. Joe, this is what podcasting is.
Oh, Joe, are you excited now to start your own podcast? Are you excited now?
Yeah, I'm going to start it.
Right now.
Right now,
Talk about movies with horns in them.
Welcome to the Joe Show. My first guest is an air horn.
Well, you must look at it.
Air horn.
You must look at it in the context of 2011 when all trailers had alarm noises. And
yes, it was Inception. It was the Inception wake. You're right. You got me there. But like, no, it's the whole idea. Like all the iconography they showed, even the trailer was cut like the Alien trailer from like years earlier. And so like you have all of that. And like they didn't know what they were doing. Like Fox was always a money hungry studio. Like they kind of never cared, and it just like, it got worse over time. And then I don't know, like going back to like the Alien Cube thing. Like, yes, am I being hard on Alien Cubed? Sure. But at the same time, though, is that like when you have a director who literally just walked off the film during editing and has done nothing to like even in interviews to this day, he's like, I don't want to talk about that. It's like nothing good came of that experience.
Okay, but you have to sort of consider why did they hire him?
Because the wood planet man guy, like just like they're like, this is like after like giving him like tens of millions of dollars to build sets, someone like came to their senses, like the coke high wore off, and they're like, what the hell are we doing? Right. They're like, what?
Okay, but structurally it's still very much that same story though. Like it is.
Let me put it this way. Like you had two home runs. You had Aliens, and you're like, okay, how do we follow this up? And so like the idea of doing something exactly. Let's do something really weird and offbeat. I am 100% on board with that. That is my middle name on the other podcast.
That's what it is, by the way. Really weird and offbeat.
It is. I'm not going to take that away from it. The thing that bothers me is like, as I was watching this thing, every time I watch this movie, I try to like it more. And every single time I'm like, there's some sort of like, there's some corn in the crap. And that's kind of what I feel like. Like there's more like Charles Dutton, fantastic. that's kind of where it begins and ends. Like the ending the ending is really, really good. But like you have a bunch of British bald men that all look the freaking same.
Oh my!
I can't tell anybody from each other.
Listen,
I have Sigourney Weaver who's sleepwalking through this movie because she's just
That
like
is not
all
very
she can
woke
do.
of you, Zach.
I know, because she's just trying to cash that check as much as she can. Be like, please let them make me shave my head again. Please let them make me shave my head again so I can get like a $50,000 bonus. And she's just like nothing about this is interesting. Like the alien is boring. Like everything about this mooring is a slog. Like, yes, Jimmy C is being emotionally manipulative, which is his hallmark, but at least I care about Sigourney Weaver. At this point, Sigourney Weaver is just like make a reference to a Cinemoddities like discussion that's coming up. She basically has the gun in her mouth and is just hyperventilating the entire movie. That's what she's doing. She's not even personable in this movie, which she is in the first two. There's nothing relatable about her character in this.
Yeah, that's
she's broken.
That's because the first two happened. It's a phenomenon we don't really get in movies anymore. You know, it's like there's some loose continuity between these films, and you know, and I mean, how can you say these guys are all the same? Like you got Brian Glover, who's like everything he says sounds hilarious. This is the guy. He's the run in the prison. I when I first saw this, I was like, that's the belligerent.
He always says.
That's the belligerent pub guy from American Werewolf in London. But
what is his line in the movie? Like he always says, the fact channel or the
whatever.
This is rumor control.
Yeah, rumor control.
I
swear to God, I thought that my freaking like TV switched over to Fox News and I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Charles
Dance and Charles Dutton are amazing. This movie has all the best Charles, and like.
But which one's in charge?
And then okay, so but like all these guys all the prisoners are great. They're all such like the dripping definition of character actors. And Ripley's coming to terms with the end of her life. She doesn't have anything to live for anymore. Her surrogate daughter is dead. She's accepting the fact that the only value she has left in her entire life is to stop this corporation from getting a hold of this thing. But
that's not okay. But that is not like you look at Aliens. There are reasons why those films are cultural like touchstones. Because like those films are both exhilarating.
That's because babies can't relate to mortality and death and accepting their own mortality, and it's not fun popcorn movie action.
But that's
think about your own death while you're watching a film.
And that's fine. But like that does not make entertaining blockbuster cinema.
It makes a nice chapter 3 in my opinion. And you know,
but it's a miserable movie though, with a bunch of they're all good character actors, but they all look the same. Give them some visually identifiable element that distinguishes them.
Just because they're all bald doesn't mean they look the same, Zach.
Okay.
They clearly have different barcodes on the back of their head. I mean, how more distinguishable do you want them to be?
I like how when Chris references the actor, he actually had to describe their role because there's no other way to identify them on the screen. Like if you talk about like, when you say, I don't know.
What do you want me to say? Mustache? Like there's no mustache in this movie.
There should have been at least a mustache then. Thank you for proving my point. Like think about you have like if you watch Aliens.
Oh my God.
Okay, look at this way though. In Aliens, as much as we like Rob likes to crap on it, every single character is easily recognizable. You got Hicks, Hudson, Vasquez. You have all of them. Like the moment you say the name, you know exactly what comes to mind.
Oh, there's a difference. Those guys are all calling out each other's names constantly because
they're visually identifiable though. Like you automatically know what you're talking about.
Well, partially because you can literally say what gun do they have, but there's no, you know, I love that they stripped the guns out of this movie. It's just an interesting problem and dynamic. But I just, you know, there's so much going on. Like Charles Dance's character, how he when he finally sort of opens up to her about why he ended up there and how he was like, what was it that he was like secretly stealing morphine or something, and he like accidentally like killed a bunch of people like when in the emergency room or something. Yep. Amazing, good stuff.
That's a great moment. That's a great, exactly. Thank you. That's a great moment that happens literally halfway through the film. And the moment we have that revelation, he dies like horribly. And like, don't get me wrong,
because because dinosaurs. Sorry, I'm looking up something else.
Well, it
I'll talk about
basically
in a
is.
second.
I think they call it a dragon a few times in this movie. But
because the alien doesn't care if you had a huge character moment.
Well,
They're
the point is she's getting
the aliens always win in these movies. Why don't you people get that? Except for Aliens, they don't win.
Because they're going to nuke the planet from space.
God dang, yes.
All right, but that's because Ripley's getting a taste that she might. Maybe there's still something to live for.
But that's the thing. That should have been
introduced.
That should have been introduced earlier in the film, which makes that more dramatic. When you get the rugged, you get to know the character and you care about him.
He was sticking her neck out for her earlier with the autopsy and stuff. They were establishing the relationship more.
I know, but that's you have that moment before they get it on, and then you have him die after they get it on. It makes it a little like, okay, it gives the character development, so it makes it all impactful. It's like, okay, here's the character development, and it's gone. And it's like, great.
And I don't know, maybe he died a little early. Whatever. I think that, I don't
think he died a little early. I think the character development came too late.
Well, you knew he had some sort of dark secret, but you knew he wasn't exactly an inmate. They were teasing it a little bit, but I like, maybe that was mismanaged. I love his story when he finally shows it to her. There's no character backstory like that in all of Alien or Aliens that's half as interesting. Like, there's just not. And when you take that further to the scene with Bishop, like, oh my God, like, how have we not talked about this? Like, this is amazing. Like,
Bishop. Lance Henriksen is the best part of this entire movie.
That is a beautiful scene. The puppet with the exposed eye and the goo just coming out, and the synced up performance, and the way he's sort of relaying the facts to her. Like, you actually feel like this is the same person you saw in a sequel that was directed by a different person. Imagine that. It's totally alien concept in the current year, and it's touching, but at the same time, he's not a real person. They don't dwell on it too much when she unplugs him.
But that's like I said, there is some corn in the crap. Like, Lance Henriksen is great. Like, even like that scene is great. I love that moment. And I agree with you. It goes on just as long as it should. And even the ending, like, that's great. Like, I love everything. Basically, I'd say about the last 15 minutes of this movie are great. And then, like, if only that's what makes me wonder about this. How much of this was manipulated or poorly edited? This goes back to my thesis as to why this isn't a movie. This feels like a movie that was butchered in editing numerous times because the director wasn't allowed to execute their vision. Like,
but Fincher was, at the time, Fincher is a 28-year-old music video director. Like, how much needed to be taken away from him, and how much would have actually been better if he had control? But we're never going to know.
Okay, but this goes down to the thing I've been literally yelling about on this podcast. This has become like the low-key thesis of this podcast now, like, ever since like they fired everybody at Lucasfilm. Is that, like, you don't hire someone, then undermine them every single chance you get. You either and that's the thing. I get that's like kind of like the nature of the beast of Hollywood. It infuriates me that like 30 years later this still goes on.
Well, now it goes on now, but it's just like then you don't hear about it until it's been decades. You
not really. I think about Lord and Miller, Trevorrow.
Yeah, but you hear them speaking super candidly about their experiences. The one thing I will give Fox is that they have produced documentaries that say what bags of trash they were throughout this production. I don't see Disney accepting blame like that for anything anytime soon.
That's the weird thing though. Like, you wonder now that Disney owns Fox, if any of the Fox secrets from the last how many years will come out in the wash. And inevitably Disney secrets will come out as well. Like, as Rob knows, as I forced him to watch Waking Sleeping Beauty during the whole like Jeffrey Katzenberg, Michael Eisner period, and like all the stuff that came out, the dirty laundry there. But this like kind of goes back to, like I was saying, the idea with Fincher and why this isn't a movie is that, like, Fincher had some level as he was shooting this, how he wanted to edit it. I think it's fair to say that now, like, in retrospect, Fincher is a more than competent filmmaker. And that's the things that, like, without having his vision to kind of, what's the word, compose the film from just footage, I don't think you can ever classify it as a movie. I think the visionary is gone. So you have a probably second-rate editor dictating all this, or Lord heaven forbid, a second-rate editor being instructed by a third-rate studio executive.
Here's where I think that's a super misguided opinion on Fincher's involvement, because this story was pretty much locked in by the time he came on board. They wanted someone who could bring it a sort of visual flair, and I'd argue that he totally did that. And he wasn't in the position to be dictating the story at that point, like, just because of his experience, the fact that they showed him the story when they signed him on, and he was on board with it at the time. And then you have this anecdotal opinion that he somehow unofficially signed off on the alternate cut, which is
he didn't
right, but there you go. Like, he never on record did anywhere, but you do hear people say he, like, theoretically one time unrecorded gave a thumbs up to that version of it, which is, if that's, like, it's debatable whether that's true or not, but if it's true, then it's not a different enough movie that I have to wonder what could have been if he had full control.
I don't think, like, my issue again does not stem to, like, what could have been. Like, it's not like one of those, like, kind of like, oh man, like, if we got Colin Trevorrow's episode 9, what could have been? I think it's the idea that just, like, once you take the filmmaker who did all this, because again, this is, like, very similar to, like, what happened with Zack Snyder's Justice League, in that, like, you have a filmmaker during editing, they're kind of thrown out of the editing suite. Very similar also to, what's his name? Rogue One guy that literally just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, but but like the difference of Zack Snyder Justice League and Whedon Justice League is not editing. Like, not even by a long shot.
No, but what I mean though is, but also too, like, in the behind the scenes documentary, it's even said they didn't finish shooting the film in London. They did. It was like a lot of like photography done in LA, like just kind of like finishing like principal photography. So, like, that's what I mean. There's a lot of information out there that's somewhat contradictory. And that's the thing where, like, there's just so much kind of the process when it comes to something like this. I just don't know if I can ever give it the benefit of the doubt until Fincher releases some sort of statement on this, which I would imagine at some point in his career, he'll sit there. Like, he's rather candid, like, now. Like, one of my favorite David Fincher stories is from, like, he'll go to film schools and, like, give presentations and, like talks and stuff. And, like, he'll have, like, a Q&A session, and, like, he'll pick on, like, some random, like, film student. And they'll be like, okay, Mr. Fincher, I have a question. He'll be like, shut the hell up and sit down. And, like, the person will sit down. He'll, like, just, like, wave them back up. And he'll be like, if you don't, like, if he's like, you can't cut it in this business. If you can't sit there, just deal with people like that. Because, like, every studio executive you deal with, or anybody, financier, is going to tell you that on a daily basis. And if you can't get over that, you'll never make it. And
so what you're basically saying is that Alien 3 flavored his entire career, and it's the reason why he's any good.
How? Well, yeah, because he learned to stand up for his ideas. Like, as much as I dislike Fight Club and all the other stuff, like I do not like Zodiac. I think Fight Club is a literal nightmare. I think about it. Fight Club might be a movie, Chris, but it's infinitely worse than Alien.
Oh my God. Okay, what? So listen, you're talking about oh, there's so much studio meddling. How is this even a movie? This is the same guy who said that Episode 9 is the most unintentionally brilliant Star Wars movie he's ever seen.
It's unintentionally brilliant. It backed into brilliance.
Yeah, Alien 3 is like actually unintentionally brilliant. Like Rise of Skywalker is like a soup of executive nonsense. Like it's the same problem. It's like is this Star Wars clouding your vision, Zach, or like what are we talking about here? Because like the same bullshit is at play, but there's two end results and one is good.
Okay.
One is not a movie. Neither. Like, at the end of the day, J.J. Abrams did not walk off of Episode 9.
We know.
We hear it was close though, right? Like we hear there's an edit that he, like the movie that was released, he didn't oversee the final edit of that. Like he was actually detached from it.
Well, that's the thing though. JJ is a Brett Ratner. He doesn't he's not an auteur. Fincher is an auteur. Fincher had the nerve to walk off. Well, as much as I laugh about Colin Madman Trevorrow, he had the nerve to tell them no and walk away.
Which is clearly why Alien 3 is definitely a better movie than Rise of Skywalker.
It's not a movie though. It's
Okay.
not a movie though. That's the
Well,
problem.
Well, if it, I like how you describe some movies as product, and I mean, like, there's no more a
Episode
product than
not
episode
every
9.
every
Yes, you're right.
Star Wars thing made, I would say, since A New Hope is product.
Oh,
Even Empire. Empire is brilliant, but it is a product.
Okay.
all right. So
Talk
we've
about
established
some
that
things.
Alien 3 is better than all Star Wars movies except A New Hope.
I need to say a few things because a lot has happened, and I need to hit rewind real quick. I was gonna defend Zach, and then he made some very outlandish claims. I actually will agree with Zach that I was looking at one of the actors, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's the guy that's like the priest in every movie, Peter, whatever. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his last name.
Maurice
Peter,
Fisher.
whatever. Huh?
Maurice Fisher, Zenger. Maurice Fisher.
No, because there's Peter Guinness and then there's Pete.
Pasta
Whatever.
weight.
Yeah. And I got those.
Zenger's
two
like
mixed up.
Pete Postal Noodle.
Wait.
Just call him the magic. He's the magic man from James and the Giant Peach. Just call him
no,
Magic
he's,
Man
he's
Zenger.
freaking the priest in every goddamn movie except for Jurassic Park Lost World where he's the hunting guy.
I can think
was
of
like-
3 other movies where he's not a priest.
Well, you're thinking of bad movies. Anyways, I was.
Are you
trying to
calling
look
Ben
him up.
Affleck's The Town a bad movie?
I was looking him up and looked up Peter Guinness instead because they all look the goddamn same.
Thank you.
Nobody looks like Pete Postal.
Okay,
something
look
or
at
other.
Peter Guinness and just glance at him real quick. But
You guys
also-
are not
Pot-
woke. This is not okay. You're calling all these people that they look the same.
all right.
They're
Peter
Rob, they're
Guinness-
white. Rob, they're all white. It's okay.
Hold on. Peter Guinness is actually in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Of course he
He's
is.
sad.
He said.
By the way, I was looking up some of these wonderful prisoner actors while I was searching this. And Brian Glover, the guy, Andrews, who runs the prison, he's currently 63 years old, which means that he was like our age in that movie. So, like, that's rough, man.
Fine
So he was
our
born
age.
Like, rough. Yeah, well, not accurate. But I mean, like, I wouldn't have believed that guy was in his early 30s if someone told me while I was watching the movie.
It was the 90s.
It's a hard
It was a different
30.
time. People age differently.
All right, let's take a step back. Because considering that Joe's new here, maybe he can be the audience's avatar. Joe, what is your opinion on all these arguments that have been fired back and forth for the last half an hour?
Okay.
Well, I would have to say is I'm going to have to agree that this, if it was going to be a trilogy, this does almost end the trilogy. Because if you remember that when they had the return of the alien, what was it, Resurrection, that this was supposed to be Sigourney Weaver's last go around as Ripley, if I remember. I was
Yes.
around back in '92, so.
I remember
What was
that.
it? So she shaved her head. She wanted to be the last. This is the last time she was going to be Ripley. That's why she wanted. One of the things was she wanted no guns when she signed up for it. She was the one that had the no gun rule in it, and she got a producer credit for that. I think that's what I read.
Yeah.
And so it does balance out as a trilogy if you put it in that mindset. The only thing is they started making more movies, so it kind of dulled this movie when you sit there and you look at it from the aspect of now. It's not a trilogy anymore, so it doesn't really work.
Well, I'm gonna let you finish, but
Chris
Taylor
is
Swift
like,
had the best music
actually,
video.
well, no, but I mean, but literally though, the character of Ellen Ripley, who we first see in Alien and Aliens, dies in this movie and never comes back.
So this was supposed to be her swan song. This is what she wanted. This is what she wanted to close out that character. She was never going to do Ripley again. She wanted to be Zool from Ghostbusters again. I don't know. Maybe it was one of those. But as far as it goes, it did seem disjointed. Where you had a good beginning, the middle was kind of hazy after they, they cremated the Hicks and Newt, but everything else before then, it was just to get to the scene where she jumped off into the foundry. That was the money shot for them. That's what they wanted the movie to be about. That was the most memorable thing I could see in the movie, besides the funeral scene, was when she jumped.
Oh, and that one part where the alien gets right up in her face.
Yeah, the most iconic image of the entire series. Never mind that.
That's fair.
But
that's fair. I will give you that. That has become the most iconic image in the franchise. That's fair. I will allow that.
But that's when she truly realized that she was carrying an alien.
Okay, so we just listed 4 or 5 iconic scenes, just way more than any movie in the last 15 years has had. That's fine.
I can name 10% of a movie that is entirely in slow motion, which all those scenes are iconic.
Watchmen.
No, it's Justice League. 10% of that movie's in slow-mo, by the way.
Only 10?
Way more.
Yeah, me too.
Well, 10%
You didn't see the Snyder cut then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why it's 4 hours long. Movie? It's a 2-hour movie, slowed down half speed.
All right, Rob, where do you fall on this?
Well, first off, I think we've lost the thread in this conversation. We haven't really answered the question, what if the planet was made of wood? No. I definitely am on Chris's side with a lot of the stuff that he's saying about this. I love the weirdness to this kind of third entry type of thing. And even though I think, the concept of aliens is, what if we sent in a group of Marines who were so dumb they couldn't function? It does set up a lot of stuff for this third movie. Like, I know, Chris, you mentioned the scene in Aliens where, Sigourney Weaver's in cryostasis for so long, she finds out that her actual daughter is dead, and then she has Newt as this kind of surrogate daughter type of thing. And I think that's all good for this trilogy idea that we've been getting at. I think the third one is very, very good in kind of what you were saying, Chris, that it is, she is just done. She's broken. Like the final thing of her story arc has to be, well, that's it. Like, I have to die to get out of this story, to end this alien. I can't let the company get it, that type of stuff. I'm trying to trace back through all the tangents that went on, but
there's a lot of them.
Definitely. I am definitely, I guess back to the Charles Dance thing. I am totally fine with Charles Dance's character and the way that the movie, the theatrical, plays out, him and Ripley's relationship, the role and how they get there. I honestly, I'm watching this for the second time, I love the fact that, Charles Dance and Ripley have sex. And then Charles Dance, reveals this emotional side of his life to him. And Ripley is kind of, seeing things, having another emotional connection, which we know that she's not allowed to have because everybody in her life dies constantly, on screen or off. And then the alien just eats him up. And it's I think I like that idea that this movie is just, the alien doesn't care who has character moments, but also that's kind of the point, that everything is just incredibly depressing. And depression doesn't care when you have character moments. It can come back just as quickly. On the whole Fincher thing.
Hold on. Are you saying that the aliens are a metaphor for depression?
I think the wooden planet is a metaphor for depression.
Accurate.
But in terms of the David Fincher thing, this is something Zach and I talk all about on Cinemoddities. Go check that out. Well, we talk about it in the episode Zach is on, but I definitely am, the one who's always a little dubious when, Zach, you state something like, about the filmmaker's intent or putting a lot of care on the filmmaker's intent. I can't say that this is not a movie. I definitely think this is a movie, whatever really that means. But I think of, the whole David Fincher thing is something that was said earlier, is that, this is that point where David Fincher has such an experience. He knows how he wants the rest of his creative decisions to go, and we've talked about this before with other things, whether it be David Lynch, where he's like, okay, I never want to, like, Dune ruined David Lynch. He's I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do for the rest of my life. And the opposite of that is the Martin Brest, where he has a success. He has the opposite of Dune, and he just gets ruined by the studio system and can't make a movie that's coherent for the rest of his life. I put a lot of respect into this movie for being that kind of starting point for David Fincher, is that, you might need some crazy, difficult experience to shape what your creative path is going to look like. I think James Cameron even, I don't know all the stories, but with Piranha 2, The Spawning, I think that he gets cut out to some extent for making that movie in post-production or having his thoughts input in post-production. And he goes, wow, how could they treat me like I'm not the living God? I need to have control over everything in the rest of my life. And I have respect for this movie in that sense as well. I'm trying to think of what other things were mentioned that I didn't hit on. I think one is the bishop scene that I want to talk about, but I don't know if we want to get into that yet. But Chris, I do have to say, I'm liking what you're putting forward here so far in this argument you're composing.
Well, in my opinion, I've already won then. That's fine.
I mean, and also, so we have to talk about the bishop scene, and also we do have to get to back, what if that planet was made of wood? That's a very important question.
But my whole thing, though,
that's led me to this point in my life.
Same, Zenger, same. No, like I said, I respect David Fincher. I respect the director's ability to have freedom. I understand everything's full compromise, but again, he did not have a full. Like we should also talk about too. Like when they went into production, like when he was like hired, they did not have a script, like a finished script. Like it was on the fly, and I think it's nothing short of a miracle we do have those gems of a moment in this. And like I said, there's a reason why that shot of Sigourney Weaver, who we've been saying her name wrong the entire time, it's Sigourney, and you have the part with the alien kind of like brushing against her cheek. Like I have nothing against the visuals other than the fact that like it's just an ugly looking film, and all the actors look the same, including Sigourney Weaver. Lance Henriksen's
like
the best part of this film.
Deco?
I do not like Dirk Deco. I do not. It sounds like a character from like the Fight Club sequel.
I guess I should put it on the record. I definitely did not have the issue that thinking all the characters look the same. I had no problem distinguishing faces in this movie. That's the one I think I'm the most surprised by.
They're only the best character actors of the day, like by far, and like you guys you recognize from all kinds of other movies that you love, but never mind that.
If it weren't for the fact that one of them was Maurice Fisher, I honestly would have no idea that like it'd just be like, okay, it's the same British man, just completely just like composite into every single shot. It's just done that. I would have been more on board with that, having like the same actor just looks with a different like wig and hat.
I thought you were gonna say something like do the Deep Roy thing from Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Just have Pete Postlethwaite play every single prisoner.
That I'd be on board for that. I wouldn't say no.
I will point this out though. It did not have all the best character actors of the time. Margot Martindale was not in the movie, so
okay, yeah, that's a fair point.
That's true. I mean, but we cannot debate that.
But I mean, and we didn't like. I don't know, like. You were saying you don't know if you want to get to the bishop stuff yet. I didn't realize we had such a precise chronological approach up to that point. But
I'm setting that up only because we have someone on this podcast that I have never spoken to before and don't know his opinions on robots, which I will need to get before we discuss Bishop.
Oh God. Dang it.
We cannot discuss.
I think he knows.
Movie.
I think he knows. He might know. Joe might know that, Ron, because he listened to the last episode.
Oh, wait. No,
Joe can know my thoughts on robots. I need to know Joe's thoughts on robots.
Joe,
yes.
What did Luke Skywalker do to all those robots or droids, whatever they are, at the end of Mandalorian season 2? What did he do to them?
I would frame this question a little differently. Joe, does machinery deserve empathy?
He Vadered him like at the end of Rogue One.
But what does Vadering something mean? What is in that context?
That context right there, he did it very aggressively.
But what did he do to them?
He destroyed them.
God dang it!
He turned them off as another acceptable answer.
Can't say killed.
Oh God!
I like the idea of Rob being like the Alex Trebek. This we also have accepted turn them off.
Well, I mean, it makes sense why Rob likes this movie because it, in my opinion, it reaffirms his belief about androids.
It does. Rob's a monster. So that's the only takeaway from this episode. I want everyone to you can believe whatever you want about Alien to the Third Power. As long as you acknowledge Rob as a monster, I'm happy.
No, I mean, I am not denying that. Like, I am those humans that were around when, like, you know, in the Animatrix part where it describes how the Matrix got created, where there's there's a certain point where the robots are like, please just give us representation. Like, we'll stop fighting you. And the humans are like, you're stupid robots. And then, of course, we know how that happens. I am the first one to get turned into a battery. I know that for sure.
Well, I mean, you know, Bishop is literally found in the garbage in this movie. Yeah, that's where they pick him up.
I do love that, you know, Bishop gets turned back on, and Lance Henriksen says something like, "Oh, Ripley, it's good to see you again." And Ripley's response is, "Play back the flight log." She's like, "Shut up, you stupid robot. Do what I turned you on for."
So and what he's not is she's treating him the way robots should be treated.
Yes. I know I said in I think in our episode 9 discussion on this podcast, Zach, there's that little robot whose name I don't remember that has like treated sure. I mean, it's treated the one that's treated like an abused dog. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, because if your robot doesn't work the way you want it to, you pick it up, you smash it against the wall, and you turn it back on. Like, robots deserve zero empathy in 100% of situations.
Well, you know, it's really impressive the lack of care taken by the prison staff, because, you know, they like Bishop basically has a flight recorder, and they proceed to immediately put him in the trash.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. But then even Lance Henriksen is like, "Turn me off. It's dark here," and I'm like, you can't feel things. Like, shut up.
Well,
what he
says affirms your view even more, Rob. He says, yes, "I'll never be top of the line again. I'd rather be nothing."
So I guess on the topic of Bishop, something that I feel like I didn't find any good. Well, I didn't dig in too hard, but I feel like Chris and Zach, you might know. The Lance Henriksen that shows up at the end of the movie, canonically, is that a person or a robot? Is there ever an answer?
I'm curious to hear what Chris's answer is to this.
Well, there's a couple different answers.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah, but I mean, I think from the intention of Alien 3 as an isolated film, I believe he's a person. Okay. The main reason for that is because you see half his face get taken off, and like there's blood, and you saw an android 5 minutes earlier, and it was not like that for one reason. And then also the further sequels, which you can't really count when you're talking about what was intended with this movie, sort of continue to affirm that the guys who started up Weyland-Yutani kind of looked like Lance Henriksen. So like, you know, AVP sort of continues that, and a couple of the video games do, but I think it's supposed to be a person. I think that he's treating her at face value when he says that he designed Bishop, because it's why wouldn't he have designed Bishop? And he says they literally picked. It's not even that he's running the company. Like in AVP, they kind of turned it into the Lance Henriksen or one of his children who looks like him is the guy who was running the company. And in Alien 3, it just says he designed Bishop and they picked me because I'd be a familiar face to you. So it's not that he's running the show there. He was like sort of just sent by a manager.
Okay. Yeah, I like that I've interpreted the 2 times I've seen it that he is a person, and I'm fine with that explanation as well. I don't want to lose this thread though. I do want. It's a safe space, Joe. You can be honest. What do you think about robots?
Robots are useful. They do things.
Okay. Are they below us completely?
That depends on the person.
That depends on the year you're talking about.
Exactly. See, in 50 or 75 years, when the robots hear this, I don't want them to put me on the list or my family. I was just about to
say, it sounds like you have a politician's answer. You don't want to go into the Matrix.
I'm playing it safe here. So any robots, me or my family will not harm you in any way, shape, or form. But no, it's
okay.
we got to put it out there because they're probably already listening.
And any robots listening out there, I'm coming for you. Okay.
Good. Well, they're not listening. They're not listening now, but they'll be able to listen to every single podcast in existence in about half a second, and then they'll internalize all that information and decide to kill us all.
With Rob first, probably first.
Yes. I'm the top of the list. I'm the center of like the the cork board with all the strings coming out of it and stuff
He's
like that.
he's the John Connor of the future.
I just like to think that every time a new episode of Knights of Vader drops and people see that I'm on there should be like an over under in the Knights of Vader Facebook group on like how long it's going to take Rob to share his views on robots.
Well, they'll be delighted this time that you're not just like trashing current Star Wars like as hard as possible.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that too much. That'll be good.
But getting back to the Bishop thing about which one is Bishop, I don't know. I agree with Chris to a degree, but like at the same time, though, if you watch like there is the blood around like after he gets like hit over the head with a fire extinguisher or whatever the hell that is.
It was a wrench.
It's a wrench, okay.
Oh.
And yet, like you look at his ear.
Wait,
like,
wait. Which version of the movie? Because maybe it's a lead pipe in another version of it. We don't know.
It's the same.
He gets hit with an ox.
It was the antler.
It was a folded steel chair.
Give him the chair.
But no, if you look at how like his ears dangling, this looks very synthetic-y. And then you look at the credits and it says Bishop 2.
Right. But I mean,
wait,
it's ambiguous. That's my point.
It's Roman numeral 2, yeah. And
okay.
It's like that's either the second or another android. And I mean, I think the best argument for it being another android though is like it's in the performance. If you were sent by your manager just because you looked like this android that she was familiar with, and things just go badly to such a degree that half your face has been taken off by a wrench, your next reaction is to go run back to the helicopter, not scream about how mad you are that she's killing that alien. You don't care about that alien. You don't care if she kills that thing. You just got half your face taken off by a wrench. You're going back to the ship. That's the biggest argument for it being an android. The fact that when she falls into that lava, he's screaming no, like it's a real problem for him.
Well, also everything that he's saying is clearly a lie. So like I think at that point there's also that too, that like he's saying things to her that are obviously falsehoods.
I think I would agree with you, Zach, but in the sense that I think the series of Alien up to this point does the good job of making sure we know that the company is bad. I would find it very impressive if they had anybody that comes from the company and we believed them to any extent.
Okay. Sure.
Actually, I would have to say that it's probably a human because none of the other people would listen to him if he was an android. When he told them to stop filming.
Good.
And the ear probably was a very bad prosthetic, though. Because it was.
I don't remember being annoyed by how it looked, but I mean, what did annoy me, and going back to the android thing, is that like, I'm trying to internalize that character's feelings right now, and like I am so done caring about what this lady does or does not jump in what lava at that point. Like, half your face is hanging off, you're probably done for the day.
Well, the other thing is, if he didn't come back with that alien, you know what they would do to him.
Yeah,
Turn him into an
that's
android.
a good point.
That's a very good motivator for a person.
Lance Henriksen, this is your last chance.
Exactly.
You missed your alien quota 3 months in a row.
You had your shot with an android.
But he designed some good androids, though. I don't know if they'd off him that easily.
Yeah, but he already designed them. They already got them in production. What do they need them for?
Are we gonna talk about the whole thing too? That like where Ridley Scott has like said like, oh, the Alien franchise and like the Blade Runner franchise like overlap.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess we can get at the idea that the wooden planet is a replicant, of course.
Well, I was gonna go there, Zach, but that's almost like considering the fact that Lance Henriksen plays Charles Bishop Wayland in Alien vs. Predator. It's sort of like this is something Ridley Scott thought about. Who knows what year? How long after the fact?
Sure. No, I'm just curious as well.
Do you think that we'll ever get like Ridley Scott will want to like actually cross these universes over in film, because I know he's talked about it.
Well,
but
the problem is that like now with the Disney acquisition, like the Alien franchise is a Disney property, and Blade Runner is like a Warner Brothers property.
And it's already begun.
And they're doing weird stuff with the comics too. Apparently, they're producing with Marvel or something.
Yeah, the very first issue of Alien under Marvel under Disney has just come out, and I haven't read it yet, but I picked it up just to have a thoroughly disappointing masochistic experience.
Zach, your voice changed all of a sudden.
I've heard about that comic.
I told you, everybody. Like, Chris is my surrogate on this. Like, when I'm not here, Chris is like as close as you're gonna get to my opinions on like everything.
He just
except for Alien.
With that statement alone.
I'm buying things just to be disappointed, just to know that I can feel.
Well, you know, the whole what once was the wonderful Dark Horse comics, like how they have fallen. You know, they put out years of great Star Wars stories that did things that the movies and a show on Disney Plus would never do for 100 years, and they put out 20 years of joyous Alien vs Predator content, and now both of these
terms
subjects
only used by you.
Both of these subjects are now. I mean, you know, there's a whole subset of quote unquote Alien vs Predator fans who would say that it was only ever good in the comics, and I haven't read enough of them to know, but those people exist. But it just sucks that Dark Horse has now lost Star Wars and Aliens and Predator. It's like, ouch, man. You know? They do. Yeah, that's brutal. Well, I mean, just Disney. You know, Disney bought all the companies to make the decisions to bring all that stuff back to Marvel. That's what happens.
God damn it, Disney.
Well, I know on Cinemoddities I have made the definitive pitch of how Marvel and Alien universes will cross over, and I'm still waiting for my check from Disney.
Well, right now with the first issue promotion, you're seeing crossover covers on all the other Marvel superhero comic books where you see a xenomorph interacting in some way with all the dumb Marvel heroes that no one should really care about.
Yes, that was exactly my pitch, is that it's going to be called David versus Goliath. Michael Fassbender's David is going to go into the future, and he's going to bring a bunch of aliens to Earth, and he's going to be fought by everybody's favorite Marvel character, Goliath, played by Lawrence Fishburne, the version of Ant-Man that gets bigger. It's perfect. I'm waiting for my check from Disney.
Well, you're waiting in line with Alan Dean Foster for your check from Disney, who's got his great ideas taken and not paid for. So there it is.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know about the
covers now.
The Blade Runner Warner. I guess I did know, but I didn't think about it. But yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever want to see anything crossed over with Blade Runner, but if anybody would do it, it'd be Ridley Scott. So, you know.
do we know what? Like, I know Ridley Scott was like threatening to make another film after Alien Covenant and Alien series. Like, has he ever like told us what that would be about?
Not from what I've read.
Isn't this the perfect allegory for like what's wrong with everything in Hollywood right now? Original director wants to make a prequel. Prequel gets turned into a trilogy against story considerations. Trilogy gets cut back to 2 movies, and story gets never finished. Hollywood.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm fine with all this.
Hey, somebody who loves Alien Covenant, I am not fine with it. Rob, who is the protagonist of Alien Covenant?
The audience.
Dad Elizabeth Shaw.
No, it's Michael Fassbender. He's the best character in both those movies.
Rob, I teed you up for that one perfectly. The correct answer is Jack McCoy's daughter.
Oh God. I mean, I don't love Alien Covenant as much as you, Zach, but I will never laugh so hard in a movie as I did when that woman goes to attack the alien and slips in blood. That is hilarious in Alien Covenant.
Yes, it is. It's great. It's
like
schlock.
A Three Stooges sketch in the middle of that movie.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting that to hear your support of the Zach, because you know all of every Alien film, including both AVPs, I have, whether I like it or not, I have memorized like they were my life story, except Alien Covenant. I could not tell you what happens in that movie besides being horribly disappointed when Michael Fassbender somehow kills all the engineers by like pressing a one button on their own ship above like a city or something. I was just like, I can't believe how much that film it left me with so little feeling. It was like watching Solo.
Chris, are you telling me that when Danny McBride got on like a bulldozer at the end of that movie, took off his cowboy hat and went yeehaw, you weren't fully on board?
It's
You
literally
were feeling
like
all the emotions?
It's literally like they were trying to make a cartoon parody of Prometheus, which came out just before that. It's like, wow, I don't know what's going on, and I forgot Danny McBride was in it till you said that, and that makes it worse.
You didn't take out your 6-shooter and fire it into the air?
It's like this guy's hot right now for something that we shouldn't at all be connecting this movie to. This is great.
Hold on, I do have an issue with this real quick. Those aren't actually. I thought those weren't actually the actual engineers. I thought they were another like race that they helped create.
That's YouTuber nonsense, sir. They are unfortunately.
And that's why I found that
engineers.
information.
Yeah, I mean, you know what that is? That's someone like me who really doesn't want to believe that that's the engineers, but it is.
I mean, I'm just saying. Are you telling me? Hold on, let me pull up whatever recent things going on.
I'll let Rob do this. Rob, would you say that YouTube is the bastion of truth?
What if YouTube
I only say
was
that.
made out of wood?
I only say that because, unfortunately, I'm very confident I've seen the exact piece of YouTube trash that has given Zenger this idea, and I too wish it were true, because it is that high octane fanboy fan fiction nonsense that, and on the odd occasion, is better than what we actually got. But unfortunately, that is not the reality.
On the topic of bastion of truth, Zach, I have a quick
Hold
thing
on,
I wanted to admit.
I
Zenger's
got
gonna hit us
something
with
I need-
YouTube info.
Yeah. Because right now, are you telling me that me watching this video, Obi-Wan Kenobi series actor confirms they are a Force wielder, Inquisitor, Ahsoka, and more theories? Are you telling me that video is not hot garbage?
I know that we haven't really established who's playing Ahsoka yet. It's all up in the air.
I haven't really established the fact that my punching bag of a YouTube channel is still putting out garbage. I don't mean my YouTube channel. I mean the one I go to every time I want to make a point about stupid Star Wars content. And it never fails.
So we're really trying not to name channels, right?
I mean, I can name this one if I want to, but I mean, what's the point?
Well, just so for the clarity of the conversation, but it sounds like we're trying to avoid it.
I mean, I don't care.
The channel's
Why?
name
Who
is
do you
Click
think it
This.
is?
Click This.
I mean, I'll tell you this right now. It's a 2-minute and 50-second video. I guarantee you 1:50 of that is just ads.
Or clicking the like button.
That too.
Yep.
Don't forget to fist punch that like button. I was almost about to say another word, but Zach would have
Rob,
to edit it.
no, Rob, what's the correct phrasing for that?
Take that subscribe button to Pound Town.
How many times, Rob?
An odd number of times. Because if you click an odd number of times to subscribe, but on even clicks you unsubscribe. So you have to make sure. Like, you can click it furiously, but make sure it's an odd number of times. Like, that's very important, because you don't want to have wasted your time clicking the subscribe button if you're unsubscribed at the end of your 60-minute click fest. So there was something about the bastion of truth, which very recently on Cinemoddities we came to the groundbreaking conclusion that IMDb trivia is not the bastion of truth that we always thought it was. I know it's groundbreaking, Zenger. That
my world is destroyed.
I know it's ridiculous.
Reality's unraveling.
There is a wonderful IMDb trivia on the Alien Cubed page that just says, and 5 out of 8 people found this interesting.
There might be another one in a second.
The first in the series where Ripley does not scream at an electronic to go faster or stop. That's it.
I'm
I'm like, sold. I'm like, here we go.
I mean, wow. What have we come to as a culture for someone to even have that thought?
Yes, the most of the IMDb trivia entries are huge paragraphs that I could not bring myself to read, but that one is just short and sweet and to the point. I can't tell you the specific moments in the first two movies where she's screaming at an electronic, but I am sure it happens.
And you know, and how lucky we are to have Ripley dead. You know, because like what happens when, you know, even if they kill the character, they can dust them off and ruin them, as we've seen recently with with Terminator. But you know, it's like, on some level, I was intrigued by all that speculation around the concept art for the Neil Blomkamp Alien 5 that was released. And, you know, the whole thing where he was caught in pre-production hell with them. And then he's like, oh, this is never going to happen, so I'm going to post some of this concept art on Twitter. And then when that got a huge following, Fox was like, well, wait a minute, maybe we can work something out. So glad it never happened.
And then Ridley Scott came in and was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I mean, if you didn't like Aliens, let's do Aliens again, but make them 60 years old.
Okay.
I would rather have that. I want Hicks back.
I
want Hicks
got
back.
something.
Give
I
Michael B
was-
more work.
I
I
wanted
was
Hicks
looking-
back till I saw Mandalorian, but all right.
I was
Fair.
looking under trivia and I did find out this. And Rob, you may appreciate this, so buckle up. 40 out of 42 people found this interesting. In wide shots, most of the refinery is actually made of cardboard. What is cardboard made from?
What is cardboard but different wood, honestly?
So I mean, technically, Wood Planet.
I thought
Far
you were
less
gonna read probably the best IMDb trivia fact that says the third of 4 Alien movies starring Sigourney Weaver. Full stop.
Wonderful. And now here's something I read earlier today that maybe if you guys did a little more research than me, I heard that they spent something like, just on sets when it was still supposed to be a wood planet, they spent roughly $5 million building some sort of wood planet set. Is there any pictures of that? Because I couldn't find them.
I've only seen like concept art of the wooden planet. I think I read something similar about all the money that they spent, and that's always I guess this falls in the category of, we were talking about how ridiculous Hollywood is these days, but even not just these days, back then in, you know, the early 90s, they have these ideas where they're like, this movie needs to get made. And they spend so much money on it that it's ridiculous. And this is definitely, I think, falls in that category. But there's so many other examples where they will, you know, try and get actors or actresses on board before the movie even has any notion of being made, just because, you know, it's this weird shell game of running things around. And that always drives me crazy, where they're just like, we have no idea what this movie's going to look like, but we know it needs to happen. The third Alien movie needs to happen, so let's dump all the money into it. It's a very, very weird dynamic.
Just like
Yep.
just like the Rogue Squadron film being helmed by Patty Jenkins. They're
And
it's like Patty, the
there's-
ink
see,
is still
this is-
dry, but just put a flight suit on, get undressed in your car, it'll be fine. No one will question.
You guys, this is where we come together and don't disagree, because, you know, everything you're saying is right. Where the motivations are bad, the way Fincher is treated is bad. I just happen to think the way things ended up is sort of compelling, and it didn't have to be that way, and it probably odds were against it being that way. But and it's a shame for Fincher that it's that way, because I think whatever he wants to, however much he wants to not like this movie, I think it's pretty good. But like, it's just like everything, it had everything going against it, and when you have you don't end up with a good movie when you have everything going for it a lot of the time. And I don't know, like, there's just like, I feel like stuff like this is gonna, you're gonna miss it even more another 10 years down the road, when the idea of, you know, you don't get to live with these characters of these feature films for very long anymore. And it's, if, you know, 6 years passed since Aliens, and this is down to the minute direct continuation, like from the first Alien movie to the end of Alien 3 where she dies, you're with Ripley for her entire conscious life. From the first moment we meet her till her death, like, she's literally frozen in cryosleep between those two movies, and it's just something that is just not done anymore. And it happened to sort of work out in the format of a trilogy for me in this case. And It only got worse.
Is that true though for Aliens? Because I know there's a big portion of that where like she's like working on like.
Okay, there's possibly one time gap where she mostly unloaded tractor trailers for a couple weeks.
Folks, I won.
Unwatchable.
Point set match, Zach.
Wait, I got something for you, Zach.
Okay.
I found an interesting fact you'd be interested in.
Okay.
This movie was the 28th biggest grossing film of 1992.
Yeah.
27 movies did better.
I like that the IMDb trivia fact uses the word biggest. It's the biggest grossing, not highest grossing.
It didn't lose money, by the way.
My question for you, Zach. What was the highest grossing movie of 1992?
Oh, God. What was 92?
In year of release.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell you what, if you can get one of the top 10s, I'll be impressed. But if you can get the number one.
Pokemon the movie 2000.
I wonder how Batman Returns did. I don't know.
Number
I'll
one.
answer that question when Zach gives me an answer.
Batman Returns is probably like 1 or 2.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
Zach, you have to refer to me as Grand Admiral Zinger for the rest of the episode.
Not the Honorable Judge Zenger?
No, Grand Admiral Zinger for the rest of the
great.
episode because Batman was 3.
Oh God. Was Mrs. Doubtfire was the 80s. What, 92 was what? Oh God. That's a
Rogue
weird
One. It's got to be Star Wars, right? We're on a Star Wars podcast.
It's always Star Wars.
It's always Star Wars. Thank you for derailing me, Zenger. I was going to ask a question. I completely forgot what it was now. So thank you. Thank you, Zenger.
You're
Grand
welcome.
Admiral Zenger.
Mrs. Doubtfire was 93, you pleb.
Batman Returns was number 1.
According to the thing I'm looking at on IMDb, it was Aladdin for the highest grossing film.
Are we doing domestic or worldwide?
I don't know. I'm just getting highest gross.
Okay, the bastion of truth once again does not fail us.
In year of release, it's Aladdin.
Okay. Anyway, though,
calendar gross would be Batman Returns.
Sanger, please stop. Please stop, Sanger.
The Matrix.
Chris, stop! You're making me hate podcasting again. God, if everyone wants to know why I stopped, I do not just like scoop the bottom of the barrel like I've done yesteryears. This is why I don't have the patience for this anymore. Chris, you said this movie lost money or made a profit?
It made a profit.
Yeah, it made a profit. Yeah.
Yeah. I just pointed out that it didn't lose money because you know that's just one other argument people could throw at it, which is baseless. But yeah,
exactly. All right. Is there anything? Okay. Do we want to talk about the ending to this movie and how it had one thing I want to talk about, which was always kind of cool to me growing up, was Weyland-Yutani Commandos. When is Disney gonna make that movie? When are we getting the Weyland-Yutani Commando spin-off?
Do you mean these beautiful Michelin Man flamethrower guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Incorrect. There are no flamethrowers in this movie.
No, they have guns.
Yeah, they have guns. No flamethrowers were used.
Right.
This is the only movie where there's no flamethrower.
Is really that's an IMDb trivia?
Yeah, I like that Zanger is just exclusively reading all the short ones like I did.
All right. Well,
they're so long.
Just
blocks of text on this page.
just another wonderfully underrated design from this movie that is only used for a minute. But Zach, you're a fellow plastic nonsense enthusiast.
Yes,
NECA put out a figure of this guy. Yeah,
and I lost out on. Oh, I know, because I lost out on it. And I remember when they did that, everyone's like, okay, when's because NECA now nothing's exclusive anymore. Then they just re-release stuff constantly. And everyone's like, okay, when are we getting the Weyland-Yutani Commando restock? And they're like, oh no, that was it. Everyone's like, wait, you're telling me you're taking a figure people have always wanted that is fodder for army builders and you're not re-releasing it? And they're like, nope. We're going to re-release the Alien from the original Alien 100 more times, but you ain't getting that. And they're like, why? And to this day, I think that's now got a $200 figure because it was released in very short supply, and it's an army builder figure. So thanks, NECA. But Rob, you'll love this. They're making figures from a American Werewolf in London all the Nazi demons. They are making the Nazi demons.
Griffin Dunn zombie?
No Griffin Dunn zombie.
Oh, I would totally get that.
I mean, they probably don't have swastikas, if I had to guess.
They don't. That is the first thing I checked when I saw that. I'm like, where are the swastikas?
Well, they're right now they're taking DC is not allowing guns with their DC Comics figures. This is a new thing from a month ago. It's a new world, man. Not even guns with your DC figures. Like, guys like Two-Face who, like, back in the 90s when toys were for men, back in the 90s, like Two-Face's gun was molded into his hand. You couldn't even take it out. But now you can't have a gun at all. It's
Was the gun half burnt in acid too? That would be great.
Oh god, I hate it. How long until like Disney just completely like takes blasters out of Star Wars?
Well, just to be fair, DC is not owned by Disney, but just give it time.
That's what I mean. Like, cause I know, like, even now, like, oh god, like, they've, like, with Wonder Woman, like, Chris, you'll love this because, like, I sat there, pre-ordered like all the oh god, what's his name, McFarlane, like Hack Snyder, like Justice League figures, and like I saw like they're not making a new Wonder Woman. And like I had to get the one from like Wonder Woman 1984. It doesn't come with her sword or shield. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Well, I don't know why it doesn't come with swords or shield because that's not guns and that's
aggressive.
Yeah,
weapons. You can beat someone to death with a shield. Yeah, weapens are not allowed. You can beat someone to death with a shield.
I'm pretty sure swords and shields are allowed. I'm pretty sure guns are the politically polarized.
I like to imagine Zenger like walks into like a mall with a sword and shield, and they're like, "Sir, you are not allowed in here without a mask." And he's like, "I'm sorry." Puts the mask on, then walks in with the sword and shield.
I mean, accurate. Also, do you want to correct your statement there, sir?
Oh,
who walked into the mall?
I think he's talking about your reference to him, Zach.
Oh, what? You're not. Wait, what? Zenger can't.
His appropriate title.
My title for the rest of the episode.
Grand Admiral Zenger.
Thank you.
The third. I like to imagine like how Zenger a couple weeks ago you mentioned or no, you posted a picture on like what was it, Instagram or Facebook of you with like your helmet collection, like your Star Wars helmets and like your was it Punisher War Machine helmet, which makes no sense, but whatever.
Oh, it makes no sense. I'm looking at it right now.
Zenger, like it still makes no sense as soon as I look at it.
And note you could tell by the Doppler shift that he actually was looking at it.
I have to turn around in the new office because it's behind me now.
But I like to imagine that Zenger is buying all these and Ellie's like weirdly complicit in it because Zenger's like, well, Ellie, like we all have to wear like face masks now. And like, think about it. We have to buy we get like the surgical masks. We have to replace them every single time we go out of the house. But if we buy $100 Hasbro helmets, all we gotta do is get a little bit of Lysol and like cut to like next time like Zenger's like at the mall with his kids. Daddy, this is heavy. It hurts my neck.
Oh, you get sent out of the store immediately. So I've heard.
Man, accurate.
Oh man, you see like you see the person like at the at Target, the cashier station's like child abuse takes many forms.
Also, I was thinking about this. So if this is the only film that does not feature a flamethrower,
we're still on this again.
No. Rob, you'll appreciate this. It was probably because it wouldn't make sense to have one on an entirely wooden planet.
Bum, 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 bum.
You know what's the remarkable thing about that trivia is that they think it's remotely interesting to say this is the only one out of 3 movies, as if that's big enough sample size to glean any sort of interesting thought.
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris. We should change IMDb trivia for this movie because we know it's a lawless wasteland and we can do whatever we want with it. To say something like this is the only movie of 1992 that did not have a flamethrower. Aladdin flamethrowers. Oh god. Batman Returns that probably are flamethrowers in that one.
Yeah. Maybe, there's rocket penguins, so probably flamethrowers.
So I think we got off on this tangent from the ending. Something that I wanted to bring up that leads into the ending is, even though I have not seen the assembly cut, I have done the research into like, well, what are the differences and what are added. I think I agree with you, Chris, for the most part, that a lot of it seems superfluous. Definitely like setup shots and wide shots and all these things.
Yeah,
I think,
stuff like when the village of ladies starts singing about Aquaman, stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Dang it, Chris,
the
you took
5-minute
my
arrow
joke.
sequence Zach has told me about in Snyder's cut. But I was watching some videos where someone was like defending the assembly cut, and he was basically like, "Oh, the scene between Pete Postlethwaite and the warden is a lot longer," and it like shows the warden handing him that cup of coffee, and the guy's like saying, "This is what we needed in this movie," and I'm like, "Who do you think you are?" And like that you are defending this. The thing I did like from the assembly cut that I would have liked fleshed out, because I think it would add to a lot of the themes of this movie. I like the idea that the guy who survives the initial alien attack and calls it a dragon becomes obsessed with it like it's a religious figure and wants to release it from captivity. I thought that was interesting.
Huh.
That's good. But like, if you have to pick one, I think the way the alien's birth scene was cut in the theatrical version is just it just makes up for all that. That's interesting. You're talking to a guy who thinks it's a good movie, so you know what? Like both, I've watched both and I like both. I'm just saying, like, especially if we're talking to an audience of people who's just heard trash about this movie for years on end and never watched it, just like probably go theatrical. I think you'll enjoy it more.
It's
Yeah,
on
and
HBO Max.
I do think also that, if you include that, it does take away from kind of the whole Ripley's whole thing about having to deal with the alien and knowing that she has the queen inside of her. Because I'm pretty sure from what I've heard about the assembly cut that everything that involves this guy trying to or successfully releasing it from captivity and putting everybody back in danger after they've captured it, that she's not really involved. She's off doing something else somewhere. So it would take away from that. But the idea itself is pretty cool that, you have all these characters who have become these almost religious fanatics because of their circumstance. And then this new crazy creature comes into play and one of them decides to worship it. That's just a neat idea, I think. And I think it gets at the idea of, oh, there's all this depression that's wearing down on us. And then what's our holy figure finally? It's this thing that's just killing us for no reason.
It's the most real thing in any of these movies. The way it represents some of the worst of society is accurate beyond anything you'll find in any of the rest of this series. It's and also just the whole acceptance of her own mortality. It's just a level of real that nobody seems to want on that scale anymore.
Okay, completely off topic, or actually getting back on topic, is that I looked up the Weyland-Yutani NECA figure. Apparently, like, China has flooded a bunch of bootlegs into the market, and I guess people don't know how to discern the bootlegs from the authentic ones.
Oh, I do.
So now, of course you do, Chris. Of course you do. I don't doubt your ability to discern bootlegs.
Chris is like, show me a picture. Let me smell it. I can figure it out.
You can tell by whether or not the paint looks like it was applied by a 5th grader. That's how you can tell.
Because only NECA uses 7th graders to apply their paint. No, apparently now it's only like a $20, $30 figure as opposed to it being like $100 a couple years ago. But this is not
apparently the hotness has worn off on Alien 3 then.
Yes. But this is the kicker, though, and this is when we get robbed for Christmas this year. NECA apparently made a 30th anniversary Aliens figure of Director Colonel James Cameron.
Oh my.
It's James Cameron, Jimmy C, as a colonial marine. And it comes with a gun. The board for filmmaking, the slate board, and it comes with I think it comes with a camera.
Is it like a white hair modern James Cameron, or like
no? It's 80s James Cameron. I wish it was modern.
He's buff. They took off the head of a G.I. Joe and put James Cameron's head on it.
More or less. You're not wrong.
I did Google Alien 3 toys, and in the images, one comes up that apparently there is an action figure of the dog from the theatrical cut. I like that.
I saw that recently. Yeah, I was pretty tempted. He has an alternate face where he's got the face hugger scars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would love to
good
have that
times. somewhere
and be like, what's that? Was that dog from? Is there any like significant meaning to it? It's like that's the dog from Alien Cubed. And it's like nobody will know what you mean by that sentence.
And it also has another lovely poster that, much like the original Alien, a poster that features a design that you basically don't see in the movie. I mean, it's debatable that the Queen facehugger that bursts out of Ripley at the end is the same as the design on the poster, but you don't really see it to that extent. And of course, the original Alien poster has like basically a chicken egg as the alien egg, and it looks nothing like how it does in the movie. So that's fun. Also, the shared lineage of aborted design choices.
Well,
But
okay.
there's go ahead. I was just going to say there's also a Queen facehugger that was designed that wasn't really used in the movie,
but exists in the other media a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, and a NECA figure, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, and if you want the difference, it's bigger and it has like webbing.
I mean, it looks pretty cool.
It does, yeah. Well, Chris, speaking of aborted ideas, what do you think of the teaser trailer being like, in space, no one can hear you scream, but on Earth, everyone can? What is your opinion on that?
I think you're interpreting it too literally. It's talking about the theater, Zach. It's all good.
Is that? It's funny. As I was watching the documentary today, I was like, you could make that argument, except for the fact that you literally see the Earth. But I'm like, oh, you know what? Pish posh. The theater is on Earth.
Well, I mean, it's Fury numbers and that I don't remember. That it's not Earth.
Fury 161.
There it is.
Thank you, Joe. Joe, what's your opinion on the Weyland-Yutani Commando action figures from NECA?
Well, the ones that you can find from China have a considerable amount of lead paint on them.
Yes. Oh, sign me up.
Vintage.
So basically, I can lick the figure.
No,
yes,
you don't.
What
you're
saying is that it has added flavor.
Added nutrients for those who do not take vitamins.
Lick the figure enough, you too can become a Weyland-Yutani Commando.
Well, I just think
they'll put you in the suit like the Weyland-Yutani Commando.
Yeah, and how great is it when everyone else is dead, the only guy who survives is 85, and oh man, like the fact that he's called 85 because his IQ is 85.
Got shot. I thought he got
85
shot
is the only survivor in the theatrical cut. I don't know about your hedonistic at a longer version.
Wait, no, I definitely think it's
85.
not 85.
It's not
right?
85.
It's
No.
what's his
The
name?
guy gets shot in the leg.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. My bad. It's not 85.
85 is the one who whacks Lance Henriksen across the head and he gets shot in the chest.
Right, this guy's properly crazy. It's not 85. What's this guy? I don't remember this guy's name.
I think it's Morris.
Yeah, there you go.
Chris is like,
Is
these
this the guy
characters are
called
so...
the Company Man?
Oh my god, I knew
Chris
you
is like, this
fucking-
movie is so... Language! This movie's so memorable, I can mistake every character for every other character. You know what? That was worth the ending
They don't
mistake.
use their names as much.
Sure,
Well,
Chris,
here's the
keep
other
telling
thing.
yourself that.
The action figure of James Cameron actually has a little Canadian flag on him.
Of course it does.
Because
Canada's greatest export.
yeah,
Let's see. I've never understood that because James Cameron is not from Canada. He's from a different dimension, brought here to rule over all of us on Earth. So what, he's having to land in Canada? If aliens came from a different planet and landed in Canada, we called them Canadian aliens? No, it makes no sense.
And the plan was all working perfectly until he became addicted to video games in late 2009, and then he stopped making movies completely. Yeah.
Actually, the proper term would be Canalians.
Oh, I love that. I like that.
Patent
and
pending,
also,
copyrighted.
has way too many wives.
I think
That's
Rob
been
will talk
very,
about
like-
that.
Yeah,
10
we
times.
talk about James Cameron's history of marriages often on Cinemoddities.
Let's look at it this way, Zenger. James Cameron has as many marriages as you have kids.
No, he's got me beat.
And that's,
Wow.
and that's not a finite number. It's a wave function. Yeah.
Now that's Rob humor. That is Rob humor. Just oh man, Rob's gonna think about that like a couple nights from now. Just die laughing.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Zenger, I thought you were going to say, no, he's got me beat, so I have to try harder.
James
I'll be right
Cameron's
back.
wives is Zenger's children's X+1. James Cameron gets divorced and remarried, and he's like, "Oh God, another one now."
Another one.
Allie, we have to go buy another Star Wars helmet from Target. Get in the car.
Actually, by the time you guys are listening to this, I'll be viciously trying to purchase the Mando helmet.
Oh, that comes out in a couple of days, right?
Yeah, it does. As the recording of this in a couple of days, as by the time you're listening to this, I'm actively looking for it.
Are you like? Did you
Viciously
pre-order
attacking
it?
people. No, it wouldn't let me.
Oh yeah, you had to pre-order it back in like September before the show came out.
I'm sorry, I didn't have one of my 15 stimuluses by then.
Oh man, Zenger's entire stimulus paycheck just goes immediately to just buy more Star Wars helmets.
He's doing his part. Just to regenerate the economy.
Oh my god. Oh my god. All right. Is there anything else to say about this movie that we want to talk about?
I have one thing.
Okay.
Is Dune the perfect movie for you, Rob? Because it does not feature robots, but it is science fiction.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of the David Lynch movie or the book. I don't think something shouldn't have robots for me to like it. Robots should be treated appropriately for me to like it. I think that's the best. I'm not like fully against robots. I'm against robots getting empathy from living creatures.
Well, I'm just a fan that you aren't calling them robots. Like heavily pronouncing it badly, because you're showing them respect by properly pronouncing what they are.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think I can have grasp over the English language while still appropriately disrespecting things.
Well, as Zach in this podcast have taught me,
Robot.
Thank you.
Robot. It's like in what was it, Alita Battle Angel? It's Jackie Earl Haley in a robot costume.
See, it's perfect.
Fun fact, folks: the villain of Alita Battle Angel is James Cameron.
Yes.
Edward Norton as James Cameron. That is what he's listed as in the credits. Dare me to prove me wrong. That was so funny. It's like, oh, who's the villain of Alita? James Cameron. James Cameron.
I think the last thing about Alien times Alien times Alien that I had was the ending when the queen little baby pops out of Ripley's chest as she's falling into the lava, into the furnace. In the video that you sent me, Zach, that was a little supposed to be like a review / retrospective / analysis or something like that. The person who made that video or narrates the video, at least, makes it very, very clear. He repeats himself ad nauseum. It's like he doesn't understand that if he says something once, the audience will get it. But he says it many times. Like he's like, the ending, it's so rushed. It's so rushed. It looks terrible. It's so rushed. It's so rushed. I'm fine with it. It looks like 90s technology special effects. What did you guys think? Did anybody really hate the look of that? Because I thought it was serviceable.
Amen.
I thought it was rushed. So rushed.
You know what?
Rushed?
You know, it's just what modern culture has done to us. See, like Ripley, it does look a little rushed, maybe. What happens is Ripley falls back into the lava, and essentially, she fades out into nothing. Now, if this were any time in the last 10 years, when she finally made contact with the lava, an explosion would have occurred.
Yes.
But that doesn't happen, so people are like, effects bad.
No. If this was made now, she would have been falling, had it burst out of her chest, had like an epic, dramatic like monologue as she fell, and then
She
it
never
like
would have
almost
died at
gets
all.
away.
Yeah.
And she has to grab it out of the air. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was fine. I had no problem with it. I mean, that whole video, I think that I had problems with that dude's analysis of it. Analysis in air quotes. I'm not kidding. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. I know Zach sent it to me. I'm sure Zach watched it. But there's a point at the end of the video where the narrator says, Alien 3 was the first movie in the Alien franchise that I saw, which means that I saw Alien and Aliens after I saw Alien 3. And I was like, who is he speaking to? 5-year-olds? Like, I understand what he meant the first time.
Rob, remember what's watching this on YouTube.
Recommendation algorithm.
Oh God.
Zenger.
No,
Zenger's the answer.
I always thought I thought it looked kind of cheesy. Like the compositing of the green screen looked a little off to me. Like in the sense of just like it looks like she's just kind of like standing there. It looks like a fan like on. And she's like in front of a green screen. It's wonky. It's
but
wonky.
Are you talking about the effect of just her with the backdrop of the fire?
Yeah.
But so that in the assembly cut, it's the same shot, right? It's just they don't have the alien pop out of her chest.
I think so.
So it's still the same composite shot, right? I mean, that's maybe the question for Chris if he's seen it.
Yeah, the effect's not noticeably different.
Okay.
You know, it's arguable that actually needing the alien to burst out of her is like we're really talking to the idiots in the audience having that to need to happen, right? I mean, I don't know if I agree. I think there's something nice about it. Of course, the chest burster gestation period is all over the place in these movies. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 3 days.
Sure.
But you know, obviously there's something nice about it. Maybe it could sense the free fall and it's like, I better get out of here. Oh, it's already too late. What is, you know what I mean? Like there's sure, it's a little bit spoon feedy. We all ultimately know that she has it in her, but I think it fits. I think it's nicer playing out that way, and it fits the absolute. I wish I remembered the composer's name because like the music's just amazing in this movie. It's so atmospheric, and like the for the funeral scene and when Ripley dies at the end, it's a similar piece. I love it so much. It fits wonderfully where it's like a little super emotional but like super depressing at the same time. She's finally done, but she sort of screwed over the company one last time. But of course, it's like everything, it's ultimately in vain because, you know, if there's one alien out there, there's a million more, and you know they'll find it eventually, but she stopped them this one last time before a kick in the bucket.
I agree with you completely about the score. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I loved the score for this movie. I think I love them even for Aliens, for all these movies. I thoroughly enjoy the franchise music. My two pitches on improving the final scene of her falling into the lava. One, it should have been like Lance Henriksen should have got closer to her and she's backing up, like, you know, like he's like, don't jump or something. And then as she falls backwards, the alien queen pops out of her chest and we see like the alien queen's like little hand extend and Lance Henriksen reaches out for it, but they just miss each other like a creation of man moment. I think that would have been great. And then I think Zenger will get behind me as she's falling into the lava. This is my second fix. The chest burster pops out and sings, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal."
Perfection. Perfect movie.
Oh man, no, but I mean, I'm fine.
We
I
can
just
stop making movies now.
I just found it so weird, where it's like, you know, because not only was it the video I mentioned before that Zach sent me, but I have heard that in other criticism I've read of this film, where they're like, that last scene looks so bad, and it's clear that it's rushed. And it turns out it was rushed, like it was done for reshoots or whatever. And I'm like, this just seems like confirmation bias at this point. You know, you're looking for a way to tear this apart.
Watch Justice League if you want to see like underbaked effects. Like it was fine for the day.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. So
92. Like, what else were you watching at the time? It's the best thing available at the time by far.
I don't know. I've heard Aladdin's pretty good.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this movie, Joe? How are you doing?
I'm doing
your first
fine.
Podcast experience going?
I'm doing all right.
Have you jumped into the lava yet? I want to jump into the lava.
Well, the one thing that you failed to mention was that there is someone that was in Star Wars in this movie.
The lava?
They were actually on the planet Mustafar. No. Ralph Brown was in this movie, who played Rick Olay.
Oh yeah, Rick Olay. Oh God. All right. Okay,
so that's
Chris.
85, right?
No, 85. 85 was.
All right. Well, I just got my whole argument just fell apart.
Danny Webb.
Oh my God.
And we had a Doctor Who in there too. He was the crazy guy.
It has Rick Olay. Well, I knew it was the best movie
narrow
ever.
that down.
Yeah.
It was Paul McGann. Paul McGann was in the movie too.
See, just so many talented actors.
So many talented actors. You know, he went from this movie straight to the Doctor Who made for TV movie. Ooh,
You had to phrase it that way.
I know.
I guess we didn't mention that Holt McElhaney's in this movie, and he's good. I mean, he's an attempted bad touch man in this movie.
Oh, so much
All right,
bad
well,
touching.
yeah, I mean, this plate, like I think my work was done after the first hour here. So anyone who's objectively listening and appreciating like the fact that, like as you guys often say, everything is terrible now. So you better count your blessings and appreciate those gems that are out there that you'll never see the likes of them again.
Well,
you think Alien 3 is bad, you'll never get anything that good again. So enjoy Alien 3.
I wouldn't say good, I'd say weird.
Well, it's you don't want to say weird either, though, Zach. You gotta look at it
Odd.
based on the time. Everyone's looking for bigger and better. You went from Aliens, where you had all these space marines going out there and firing up on these aliens. You sit there and you go to Alien 3, it kind of goes back to the first one, where it's more of a horror-driven storyline.
Is it though?
Well, it is, because they don't have any guns. Everything's working against them. The only thing they have is something that they have to trap the alien in. So I understand where Chris is coming from on that.
But in the end, true villain is man.
Yes, because man wants the alien.
Oh boy. Yeah, like I said, no, I don't disagree with Chris's point. I just disagree with the fact that it's a movie. Like I don't see it as a finished product. I just don't see it. Like his points are all valid, except for kind of how we're classifying it.
Zach is like, this is a TV show. You can't convince me otherwise.
Okay, Zach, was there an opening credit?
I read it.
Can you click this movie? No, therefore it's a book.
Can I swipe left or right on it?
Can you subscribe?
All right.
I can subscribe.
Answer me this.
Okay.
Was there an opening credits?
No. Yes, maybe. I don't remember.
Yes, there was.
The one I watched.
Was there something happening for like an hour?
That is negotiable. That is negotiable.
Okay. To conclude, was there an end credits?
Remember, credits do not make a film. If a director walks
the
off
final
of it, I do not count it as that.
Final thing. Does Nick Fury show up at the end trying to recruit the alien, not Sigourney Weaver, the alien?
I didn't wait till after the credits, so
the
I'll never
Avengers
know.
Initiative.
The wooden planet will return in Avengers Endgame.
Speaking of returning in Avengers Endgame, how long, Chris, until Disney ruins this? How long till we get the Alien movie starring when Disney decides to make another Alien property, whether it be a movie for theaters or for Disney Plus, TV show, whatever, is it good? A, is it going to suck, which I think we all know the answer to it, and B, is it going to involve Sigourney?
Okay, well, I'm so glad you asked, because here's the real deal.
Direct on.
You ready for here's the real deal. So, there's a lot of this relates beautifully to Star Wars. There are a lot of podcasts, especially out there, that they love to sing the praises of the newest things that come out. Well, Disney's doing great with this and that. You shouldn't hate on episode 7, 8, 9, this and that. They do that, and then the only things they ever talk about are the wonderful creations of George Lucas, episodes 1 through 6. And much like that, there's a reason tonight we're debating the quality of Alien 3 and not Alien Covenant. This series has been dead for quite a while. And, it killed itself. Its original creators tore it apart. It's not, you shouldn't expect anything more from it. It's said all it has to say in those first 3 movies, in my opinion, and I don't expect any more from it. And, will we even get anything as good as Alien versus Predator Requiem ever again? I highly doubt it.
All right, Chris, I need you to
love me some AVPR.
That there is a 4th movie.
I don't mind it. No, I'm not the hater of Resurrection. I remember literally talking a Blockbuster employee into letting me rent that tape.
Okay, you need to
Like, I enjoyed it.
reference what a Blockbuster employee is for the youth that listen to this podcast.
Exactly. Like without, it's rated R, without ID, I talked the man into letting me rent it, and then proceeded to get it immediately confiscated by my parents. Like it was, but I did eventually see it. I like it. I just don't think it's, it's a hair closer to a legitimate sequel than what came afterwards, maybe, except for Prometheus. That's pretty good. It's like it's there with the AVPs, in my opinion, where I enjoy it. Maybe it's a little better than the AVPs, but it's a side note to this trilogy conversation for sure.
You didn't answer me, Chris. When Disney finally makes another installment in this franchise, will Sigourney be in it?
I really hope that ship has sailed. I think that the last time she was thinking about it was this Neil Blomkamp project, and she did seem genuinely excited about that. But we're already going back 5 or 6 years to when that was on the table. So I hope not, and I actually believe no.
She likes money, and she's in the Disney good graces with Avatar 2 through 7.
It's going to be another AVP. It's going to be Avatar versus Predator.
No, I like Avatar versus President. That sounds
President,
great.
yes. Avatar versus Predator.
Did any of you know, and I'm speaking to people in this call and to the audience, that Sigourney Weaver plays herself in Finding Dory?
What?
Yeah.
She's credited as herself in Finding Dory.
This is all over IMDb. Even on Alien, and all our audience who I'm sure is looking up Alien 3 on IMDb right now, there's plenty of characters where it says Phil Davis as Kevin, and in brackets as Philip Davis. Zach, do you know why this is all over IMDb? Like, why is it that they're also playing themselves? It's on so many movies.
Because their characters don't have actual names.
But it lists a character name, and then on 3 or 4 characters on Alien 3, it lists a character name, and then in brackets as his own name.
I can tell you why Sigourney Weaver is in Finding Dory, though, as herself.
Zenger's like, I know that answer.
I know that answer. So, no, okay. She's basically like the voiceover for the park. Like, this is Sigourney Weaver. Welcome to whatever cove or whatever it is. Like, it's her doing that. You can hear in the background.
It's cute that they think any children will appreciate that at all.
Yeah.
No, that's the part for the parents.
Zanger was in the theater with his kids, and he was like, "Ha ha!"
That's keeping me involved.
Then slowly puts on helmet.
It was also for Sigourney Weaver's bank account too.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Chris, I think the thing that you're talking about on IMDb is IMDb's way of reflecting that the name in the credits of the movie of the actor is different from their credited name. Because as you notice, the IMDb page for Phil Davis, he is not he plays Kevin in this movie, but if you look at the credits, it will say Kevin played by Philip Davis. I think it's a SAG thing where they might have Christopher might be referenced as Chris in some movies, but Chris Fairbank and Christopher Fairbank are the same actor, if that makes sense.
We keep on doing this. Hopefully we move on.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, I was a genuine question, and that's the correct answer because it's Philip rather than Phil. So there it is, everyone, in case you're wondering.
All right. With all that being said, we did it. We solved IMDb. We fixed the Bastion of Truth.
There's no more problems with it at all.
No, it's perfect.
Crack the source code on that one.
Getting rid of exactly. The message boards were gone, and we just tidied it up right here now. All right. With all that being said, anything else about Alien to the Third Power?
No, I think that was everything I had. I mean, other than write in. Email, tweet, whatever you have to do for Knights of Vader, right in the Facebook group.
Comment down below.
And give your answer to the question, what if the planet was made of wood? That's what we want to hear. Write in.
All righty. So concludes this episode of the Knights of Vader, a Star Wars podcast. Check out the Facebook group if you too want to let us know about wood planets. If you like what you hear, please rate, review, subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever podcasting platform you're currently listening to us on. Thank you to An Insperiority Complex for providing our theme song. Check out the show notes to hear more from them. If you want to also hear Rob and I talk about other nonsense regarding movies that don't feature wooden planets, much like this one, come listen to us on the Cinemoddities podcast, Rob, where we will be talking about...
There were 2 episodes this week, actually. We have our 3-year extravaganza that got released, and then our main episode is on Memento, which should involve a wooden planet.
Can only make it better.
What if the podcast was made of wood? We get at that on Cinemoddities.
Oh, boy. All righty, Chris, when you are not defending Alien to the Third Power and being Canada's premier 3rd or 4th best vintage Star Wars collector,
Second.
Where can people find you? Oh, he's second now?
Yeah.
Oh boy, he's getting out there.
I first of all, I must refute you saying second, or I'll be assassinated. It's no better than 7th for sure. I no offense meant. We all know who number 6 is. You don't need to like comment on this or anything. But defending Alien 3 and being the 7th best Canadian Star Wars collector are my 2 full-time jobs. So I will not be found anywhere else doing anything other than that, except occasionally posting pictures on the Chris Porteous on Instagram.
There you go.
Alrighty, Rob. I guess, do you have anything to plug other than not watching Zack Snyder's Justice League?
No, check out Cinemoddities. That's always good fun. Zach pointed you to An Insperiority Complex. Check out that music as well. I think that's pretty much all I got for you. I do have a question for Chris, so maybe we can do that in our like moment of Zeng or something like that. I don't know if Zenger's going to get one.
You can have it. Please take it.
All righty, Mr. Joe. Is there anything that you would like to plug, or do you want to remain anonymous to our dozen of fans?
Dozen of fans? No. But thanks for letting me join you guys on this wild ride.
Sure. Thank you for.
Yeah, it was good having you, Joe.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Look forward to Joe possibly during the Bad Batch, exclusively found on GCTV.
Gas station. Maria Menounos.
GCTV, hosted by Menounos. We should get Maria Menounos on for that episode. Maria Menounos, can you come on our podcast to talk about the Bad Batch?
That would be hilarious.
I would derail that episode so fast because I'd be like, Maria Menounos, I need to talk to you about your professional wrestling career, which does exist, everybody.
I could do a bit on there about a recipe I'm doing too. That's perfect for gas station TV.
All right, Zenger. All right, Zenger. Zenger, do you have anything, or are you letting Rob just kind of like steal your thunder?
No. I mean, I gotta promote where I'm at, but I will only promote it after I am spoken.
Grand Admiral Zenger, where can people find you when you're not on the Knights of Vader podcast?
When I'm not leading the 7th Imperial Fleet, you can find me on my own podcast, ZengThis, where I discuss nerdy topics every week. You may commence with the rest of the episode.
It's the Katana Fleet.
No, in Legend, it's the Katana Fleet. It's the 7th Fleet in canon.
Explains why I didn't know.
In the second draft of the script, it was wood, so I don't know what anybody's talking about. All the fleet was wood.
I just want to point this out. You have given me the most stupidest point of knowledge I can ever feed to somebody. If they ever say a dang thing about this movie, I'll be like, hey, the plan was originally supposed to be wood.
Rob has made that the one takeaway from this episode. The planet was made at wood at one point.
I hope that this catches on just like Big Whiskey. I hope that people in the Facebook group are just posting things like, what if Star Wars was made of wood?
All right, Rob, what is your moment of Zeng?
Okay, my moment of Zeng is as deeply important fans or knowledgeable fans of Cinemoddities might know, Chris was on an episode a while back to talk about Trading Places, which is a good movie and a good episode. I have to ask Chris, have you seen Coming to America, the sequel to Coming to America?
I'm confused.
Well, I don't know if you're presuming that I think the first one is good, but I'm
not.
Okay. Well, I I gathered what I could from reputable sources prior to hearing your wonderful episode on it, and decided that it was better for my health that I do not partake.
Okay, I have not seen it either, but I wanted to see if you had heard that apparently Colin Jost is in that movie, and he is playing the grandson of our two wonderful old rich white men from Trading Places. So the sequel to Coming to America still has the Trading Places connection, from what I've heard.
Wait, so you're saying we're not going to get an awesome Cinemoddities episode about it?
No, I don't want to watch that garbage.
Well, all right. Well, I'm glad it has character continuity with Trading Places,
yes,
but I'm
yes.
sure it's a super disaster, and I'm sorry in advance for anyone who has already watched it at the time of hearing what I'm currently saying. Peace be with you.
That was my
also with you.
Oh God. Hey everybody, got a new episode after 3 months. I hope you're happy. I hope someone's happy after all this. All right, good night, goodbye. As always, may the force be with you.